This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Well, more bad news on the earnings front. Both Mercedes and Nissan posted their latest financial numbers, and they don't look good. Let's start with Mercedes. It sold 1.8 million cars and vans last year, down 9%. Revenue also dropped 9%. Worse, its EBIT earnings and net profit fell off a cliff. EBIT was down 57%, and net profits dropped almost 49%. Mercedes is in a dangerous downward slide. Reuters reports that the profit margin for its automotive group has fallen from 13% in 2021 to 5% last year, and it could drop to only 3% this year. Now let's move over to Nissan. It posted extremely weak numbers for the last 3 quarters, including a loss of $1.6 billion. And the current quarter is going to be a bloodbath. Nissan is projecting full-year losses of over $4 billion, which means it's getting ready to announce billions in write-offs when its fiscal year ends on March 31st. And here's where the Nissan and Mercedes stories blend together. 7 years ago, they formed a joint venture to make cars in Mexico. They shared a plant that made the Mercedes A-Class and GLB and the Infiniti QX50 and QX55. But with both companies struggling, they shut down their joint venture and started looking for someone to buy the plant in Aguascalientes. Reuters reports that Chinese automakers Geely and BYD are 2 of the finalists, while VinFast is the 3rd. And that plant is huge. It has over 2 million square feet and is capable of making 230,000 cars a year. That could give a Chinese automaker a major foothold in the North American market. We've seen several EV battery makers pivot to making energy storage systems, a lot of which are going to data centers. But the supplier BorgWarner just landed a contract to supply TurboCell with a turbine generator to power its data centers. Borg has worked with TurboCell for the past 3 years to bring the generator to market. It's expected to meet future carb emission standards and allow for multiple fuel types, including natural gas, propane, diesel, and hydrogen. Production of the generator is expected to kick off next year.
At CSP, we work with OEM engineers across the country on their journeys to lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly vehicles. Learn more at thecsp.com.
Car sales took a big tumble in China last month. According to the China Passenger Car Association, retail sales of China-made vehicles hit 1.54 million units in January, down 14% from a year ago. Local brands contributed to that loss, with sales slipping 18%, which led to a 3.5% decline in market share. Geely was number 1 in sales in January, despite a 12% drop. It was followed by FAW VW, and BYD tumbled to 3rd thanks to a 53% plunge in sales. New energy vehicle sales also played a part in that drop. Sales of BEVs, PHEVs, and EREVs fell 20% to 596,000 units, while gas-powered cars were down 10% to 948,000 vehicles. NEVs likely slipped because sales subsidies were reduced at the beginning of the year, and automakers aren't expected to get any relief this month either. Due to the Chinese New Year holiday, analysts expect February to have the lowest sales volumes of the year. And there's some interesting results when we look at the top models in China. The Xiaomi U7 was number 1 in January, selling nearly 38,000 units, followed by a couple of Geely vehicles. But our first surprise is Volkswagen, which has 5 models in the top 12. And what's more, all of those are ICE-based vehicles. With those EV sales subsidies getting reduced, it will be interesting to watch the sales battle between ICE and electric in China this year. Tesla likely benefited from an EV pull-ahead at the end of last year and delivered nearly 66,000 Model Ys in China in December, making it the number 1 vehicle for the month. But in January, the Y slipped to 20th place, delivering a little under 17,000 units, a staggering drop in just 1 month. However, we will note that Tesla's China production volume was at a pretty normal level for January, so it relied more heavily on exports. And this likely won't help car sales either. Earlier today, the Chinese government issued new rules banning automakers from selling vehicles below cost as part of its crackdown on the price war. That includes the vehicle's total cost of production, as well as administrative, financial, and sales expenses. The new rules also ban price fixing between automakers and suppliers, and companies are now prevented from forcing dealers into money-losing sales through punitive rebate programs. While China has tried stamping out the price war over the past year, automakers continue to cut prices. BMW isn't the only automaker trying to help Olympic athletes win gold. Honda partnered up with U.S. Bobsled and Skeleton and allowed the team to test at its wind tunnel in Ohio. While it's typically used for cars, trucks, SUVs, and the occasional race car, coaches and athletes were able to make tweaks to their equipment as well as seating and head position. And thanks to the precision equipment at Honda's wind tunnel, they were able to see if their tweaks had a positive impact or not. Some of the events for bobsledding and skeleton have already started with the medal rounds right around the corner, so we'll know soon if the U.S. can make the podium. Over anything else related to driving, headlight glare is now the #1 complaint from drivers worldwide. And not only is it bad, it's getting worse. But Gentex has a solution, and we've got Craig Piersma from Gentex coming on Autoline After Hours this afternoon to tell us all about it. Christy Schweinsberg will also be joining John and Gary when the show goes live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time today. But that's a wrap for this show. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you later.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, Solutions for Your Journey, CSP, the Composites Solution Partner, Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game, and thanks to the following YouTube and Patreon members.
Knowing that a little rain won't slow down your day. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Turanza Quiet Track tires. Confident control in wet conditions.
Developing today's vehicles, issues can happen in an instant. What good is knowing your problems without the data to solve them? Meet Wireless Neovi Cloud, your secure off-the-shelf solution, empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless Neovi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless Neovi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.